Okay, now we're going to look at several things related to division and multiplication. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is this whole concept of division by zero, because students always have a difficult time, and even some of you are going to have a difficult time trying to decide which of these has an answer and which doesn't. So we need to remember and look and see if division by 0 and 1, are they actually unique? Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at taking 5 and divide it by 0. Well, if it is unique, then I can do my related multiplication fact, which says that 0 times some number equals 5. And there's no way to ever get 5 if we multiply by 0, because 0 times anything is 0. So I can't do this, so it can't be. So this is the one that's undefined. Okay? This one is the key. It's undefined. Okay, now let's look at this one. I have 0 divided by 5, so the related multiplication fact would be some number times 5 is 0. So we know there's one unique number that can go there, and that would be the number 0, because 0 times 5 truly is 0. So anytime I take 0 and divide it by anything, I'll always get 0. Okay? Now, what about the case when 0 tries to divide by 0? Well, let's go back and look at the related multiplication fact, which says that some number times 0 would be 0. Now, that's a true statement, because I could take any number times 0 as 0, but it's not unique. So if it's not a unique number, then it's not defined, or it's undefined. Okay? So think of it this way. When I write them as fractions, anytime I have division by 0, or 0 in the denominator, I can't do it. Okay? And think about what it means to look at, for example, 10 divided by 5. It says take 10 and divide it into groups of 5, or take 10 and divide it in 5 things. So this would say take 5 and divide it, or make an area model with 0 members. That doesn't make sense. So this one doesn't work. This one says take 0 and make an area model. Well, we can't make an area model because we can't model 0, but it would be no rows of 5, which then would be nothing. Okay, now trying to make an area model of this one, can't do. So just keep in mind that when I have 0 this way or 0 this way, it will be undefined. Okay? Now, let's take a look at order of operations when we don't have parentheses. Now, obviously, when we have parentheses, we're always going to do parentheses first. But in this case, we need to remember that somebody down the line has probably taught you, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes this is called PEMDAS. Okay? I'm not concerned with the PE right now. Okay? What I'm concerned with is multiplication and division, addition, subtraction. And this is the problem that people make all the time. People mistakenly go through and think, oh, I multiply and do all my multiplication, then I go back through and do all my division, then I go back through, do all my addition, then I go back through and do all my my subtraction. And that's not the case. Basically, I think of this as being boxed. In other words, it doesn't matter which comes first. I just work left to right, and when I get to a multiplication problem, I do it. If I do a division, then another division, then a multiplication, whatever it is, I do multiply and divide. Or I could think of it as doing dividing and multiplying left to right. Then I would also box my addition and subtraction, because it could also be subtraction and addition. So it doesn't matter the order, whether it's addition, subtraction first, we just do it left to right. Okay, so let's look at this problem here that I have. It says 8 minus 9 divided by 3 times 2 plus 4. And let's see what we get. Alright, first thing most of you probably want to do is do 8 minus 9 and get a negative 1. Well, we haven't talked about integers yet, but that's not appropriate because addition and subtraction is the last thing to do. So I go on to the next thing, and the first thing I encounter is division. So I'm going to do 9 divided by 3, and I'm going to get 3. Okay? Then I now have to multiply that answer by 2 and get 6. Okay? Now, so I've done all of this here in the middle, and I have a 6. So then I'm going to replace that with that 6. So now I have 8 minus 6 plus 4. Now I do in order left to right. So 8 minus 6 is 2. And then I have to take and add 4 to that. So now I get 6. So I work in order left to right. Multiplication, division, division, multiplication first. The last thing I do is addition and subtraction. Okay. Now, let's take a look at modeling with base 10. Okay, this is saying that I'm going to multiply 31 times 43. Now, everybody has a hard time looking at the concept of multiplication. So let's think about what this means. This says that I have 3 times 1, and then I also have 30 times 3, because the value of this 3 is 30. So 30 times 3 is 90. Alright, now I'm ready to do and work with my 4. But the value of that 4 is not 4. Okay, the value of this 3 was 3 units. But the value of that 4 is 4 tens, or 40. So 40 times 1, and then the value of this one is 30. So 40 times 30 is 1200. So then I would add up all those answers, and I would get 1,333. Now, another thing that I could do, is split 43 down into 40 plus 3. So then I could say, well, 31 times 40 by distributing, and 31 times 3. So then I would have 93 and 1,240, which would give me 1,333. Another model that we can use to multiply and divide.